So introduce yourself, Sunir, please.
All right. Well, thanks for having me here, Alex, as always. I always love hanging out with you. I always learn like 20 things every time I listen to you. So I'm the CEO of AppBind, and we help digital agencies like Core here take care of their clients faster, set up their subscriptions without getting in the middle of their billing, like, having to put in your credit card, which sucks for everybody. And so we have a really cool platform that we built because I have also experienced this myself, all sides of the table, both as a client and I was an agency myself, and I started the marketing team at FreshBooks, and so I've talked to thousands of agencies in my career who, have just been suffering with this idea of how to, build a digital agency in the age of subscriptions. So, thanks for having me here. But the star of the show is Core, so please introduce yourself.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Alex and Sunir. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, Core, I'm actually dialing in from Cape Town, South Africa. I run a automation agency called Pretty Simple. We've been going since 2015. And in essence, the objective is automation and automating processes, but we start by understanding clients' processes, help them choose the right apps, ideally choose apps that can talk to other apps. Once they talk to each other, once we've integrated them, it enables automation, and we go through that entire journey with clients. I guess why it's relevant, these solutions or these apps or app stacks often consist of multiple apps and multiple subscriptions, and they are a pain on so many levels to manage and subscribe. So been working with Sunir and his team for, Sunir, I don't even know how long, since very early days, and they've really they're not under or overstating what, the impact that they've had on our business. So it's cool to be able to give back.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have a cool agenda that Sunir and Core put together. But I think what's first, Sunir, we want to talk through a little bit of what is going on. I can pull it up here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hijack your webinar.
Please, hijack away.
I learned something, like every CEO is a little bit arrogant because you have to believe that you have some idea that no one else has had before. And I'm going to embrace that despite the person on my wall here and take over your webinar. No, like Core, so we were talking before this to prep, and it was kind of interesting. So you are a very active AppBind customer. And like what are you getting out of AppBind? Because I think that's what everyone here is hoping to get something out of this. And so what are you getting out of AppBind that's so valuable to you?
Yeah, so I think kind of summarized it into three areas. So cost saving, ownership, and de-risking, right? So or communication. So for us, the cost saving side, having been, you build up a trail of customers, and each customer comes with multiple subscriptions, and those subscriptions need to be paid by something. And you're really keen to get going and keen to get, when you start on a project, you want to make sure that you get going and delivering value really quickly. Kind of you feel that tension between when the conversation starts to where the client just wants to see the value, and that's defined slightly different, but and so often in the beginning days, I would just subscribe and sign up for these subscriptions on my own credit card, business credit card, just to get it going, because just to avoid that conversation, always thinking that we can rather have that non-value adding conversation about signing up for licenses at a later point in time. And just to my detriment, very, very often those conversations didn't come up. So I'll sit at the end of the month with these transactions on my card, which I just couldn't reconcile. I couldn't figure out who they were for. The card statement only has a small amount, would maybe say what the app was for, but it wouldn't actually say who the client was for. So in terms of cost savings, I then managed to kind of claim or rebill some of those subscription fees that I was charging. It was a pain. Really, in the end, before we started working together, it would take me a week to reconcile transactions, and even then, I wouldn't be able to reconcile all of them and be able to build that onto the client. So that's been painful, which has been a great help. Often the conversation with the clients, there's a little bit, some of the clients that we work with, there's apprehension where you deliver a service, but they want to make sure that they do keep some control. So they do want to see some ownership, or at least some visibility in terms of the apps that they do. and that was really tough. I guess that's what's driving some of the delays in terms of signing for that up for those things, because they would have to sign up with their own email account and load their own card and doing all of that stuff. And if you do it, then it's on your stuff. And AppBind, through the kind of shared email addresses and the ability to subscribe and load the card, has really given us an opportunity to give that transparency and make sure that the client still feels he owns the stack, even though you put that in place. And the ability, I guess, from our side, so that's from a client side, but from our own side, it's sometimes you want a relationship to end, and you want to make sure that when that time comes along, you don't delay that painful conversation. So you want to be able to hand that over really quickly. Which, if your card is all over the space or your email address is all over the space, and it's painful. There's some of those conversations which I've still not completed and still rather not have. So just have my details on there and keep on getting the notices. And then the last part is just around operationally, getting notices from apps about activity on there, or important activity, maybe accounts or API changes or whatever the case might be. If the client's email is loaded on there, you're tied to them notifying you that they got this really important message about Airtable being down for 2 hours and things will be going wrong, and you don't get that message. So having a shared space and a place for kind of a shared inbox that goes out to everybody where you get the emails. And also we've now we extensively use the ability to share those credentials. So it becomes our shared space of sharing the email or the login or the username and the password for that between the client and us, making sure that between us have the latest version of whatever that might be. So yeah, it's been again, I think it's about, maybe it's even more than 2 years working with Sunir and them, and it's really saved us a significant amount of real money as well as time. De-risked our business quite a bit, and definitely added efficiency and allowed us to deal with more clients as a result of that.
It's funny. And this is, I think, why I'm having such a hard time like nailing down what the headline on our homepage should be. You enumerated like 7 different problems when it comes that you're feeling because of the subscriptions. Software companies absolutely love the subscription model. It's great for them, but it's a goddamn nightmare for everyone like us who are in the services business. Because like, what did you mention? There's like first you're an automation company, so any manual time, I'm sure, is just like destroying you in your soul. But spending hours every month doing bookkeeping for a client is expenses. Like, who, raise your hand, who loves expense tracking? Like literally nobody. And then it's all that financial risk. I think you said once, it's on our investor deck, you saved $2,000 a month of expenses. It was like, is that true?
I think it's more. I think it's understating. I think it was at least $2,000 in real money in terms of licenses that I wasn't able to claim back. But if you consider my time where I should have been automating and billing, that I spent trying to figure out where that real money has gone, I think that's a very conservative estimate. And I really like, it was really painful. It felt so hypocritical talking about automation while having this really manual hump in the middle that you need to get through before we can actually get to it. So that's emotionally, it was a painful conversation, and it felt very hypocritical early on in an automation conversation. So yeah.
And then you mentioned like ownership and transfer and offboarding, and then the shared credentials, all the stuff around just the weird dance we all have to play around. How do I get access to their accounts? And they have to own it because it's their data. It's so complicated because of the nature of subscriptions. But this is how I ended up myself in this mess. I mean, I have that story. I don't know if I should tell. Maybe I should tell how I got fired. I love this story. I'm so bad at my job. No, I mean, we all are. So I was at FreshBooks for a long time dealing with these issues, like hearing them from like thousands of agencies. And then I left and became a consultant. And I had this client who I was doing analytics consultant. I had this client who was a tailor. He was a fashion manufacturer, actually. He's making clothes. He's making a bricks and mortar store. He's making an e-commerce site. And I was doing the analytics consulting as a subcontractor. And so I didn't want to buy into the analytics software because it's really expensive, like Segment and Amplitude and Branch and TalkDesk and all these things. So every Monday on the project sync, I would get up I would say, could you get me these 6 subscriptions? And the entrepreneur being a go-getter is like, yeah, absolutely, sir, I'll do it. But of course, he's making clothes. He doesn't know anything about analytics. It's a computer science nerd thing from his point of view. Nothing happened. 72 hours from launch, he knows there's no phone number on the site, which was in talk desk at the time. And I was like, Senior, what's going on? Like, why is there nothing there? Like, well, you didn't buy any subscriptions that I asked you for. I was like, uh-huh. So he got me, so he said, Senior, let's get on a video call and just show me what to do. So it was like, put your email address in here, put your password in here, click here to invite me, put your credit card in. This is a nightmare. It's in an hour, we got through 2 subscriptions, and then he just let me have it. He said, Senior, my plumber, because he's making a bricks and mortar store. He's like dealing with real contractors, plumbers don't make their clients go to buy their own equipment. That's ridiculous. It's like, my plumber's not making me buy my own pipes. Working with you is 10 times harder than not working with you. That's not something you want to hear, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll take care of this for you. I bought 2 of the remaining 4 subscriptions on my card, and then canceled my credit card because all the money, right? I didn't want to get renewed. I did an all-nighter and delivered it, and got paid for that deliverable, and then I was fired because But I asked this guy, I asked him because we had a pretty good rapport, right? So I asked him a month later, and I was like the other adult on the contract, so we had this really he was like so disappointed in me because I was supposed to be like this, executive like him. It's like, I understand like why you couldn't get subscriptions, but I don't understand why this is a problem. I was like, you wasted my time. You wasted the other contractor's time. You slowed the project down. You couldn't even manage your own time. You had to do an all-nighter. No one can run a business like this, right? And I was really confused the whole time. I was like, yeah. But I asked you, in all this, I asked him, when did you decide to fire me? And this blew my mind because I'd heard echoes of it, like whispers of it, when I was at FreshBooks and also at Olark, dealing with the agencies. But now I had the first clear understanding. He's like, when did you decide to fire me? Oh, the first call. What? And I was like, well, when you said I had to take care of the subscriptions, I told my plumber would go and do this stuff for me. I just knew you were going to be my guy. Yeah, you're going to do the analytics, and you said you're going to do this conversion rate optimization and the ads, and just keep going one after the other. The moment you made me do work, I knew that I needed to have someone internally that I could just who could be my guy, because I can't do any of this stuff. So I have to hire someone internally. That's obviously what happened. So I can't have a consultant. So that's what so I decided, when I had free time, I was going to go find someone, which I'm doing now. I'm hiring a VP marketing, so I can't have people outside my company running this. And that, when I was at FreshBooks, we did benchmarks. We saw, this is 2007 when I joined that company. We saw those people around licensed software had longer term clients with bigger service revenue. And those are on subscriptions, had less service revenue and shorter engagements because they just weren't, like, what do they own? They're not doing anything. They're just doing the labor. And I had there's one more cool story. I was talking to a HubSpot, well, not cool, sad story. I was talking to a HubSpot agency, and we're having this same conversation. And he says, Senior, what am I selling? Like, what do I own? Like, well, you have an agency, you have staff, you have like a really good brand, you have a great blog. It's like, no, I'm every month is a new month. I got to start the business again every month. I get a new client. I got to rebuild my client every month. It's like, what do you mean? I'm just selling the sprinkles, but not the donut. HubSpot's the donut. I'm just the sprinkles. I'm just the thing that convinces the customer to go give HubSpot all their money, and then they get rid of me because I'm not have anything. It's like, well, you have something. You're building up your entire system. Why can't you sell? You're selling the system. Like, that's what system integrators. I mean, that's how old I am. I used to be a system integrator. Like, that's what you're doing. You're selling not the software, but the whole system of the software, the marketing function, or whatever you're doing. Why are you not selling that? And it's something you should be maintaining and operating, because the customer, most of your customers don't know how to do any of this stuff. And it's like, and this is obviously where I convinced them to use AppMind. But like, that's, that was the problem. Like, getting, like, how do you manage the risk and the confusion? You mentioned like 7 problems. It's so much chaos. How do we simplify?
Yeah, and I think practically to your story, right, about buying the pipes, I could feel that tension in initial customer conversations, right? And so while they didn't, well, some of them never even signed up, right? But I could feel that tension in having that conversation, and my response to that pre-AppBind was okay, let me take out my credit card and let me sign up for these things, and I'll figure out how to, like, we'll figure out at some point, I'll bring my receipts back to you and say, okay, do you mind settling this, because there was no alternative. Yeah, no, so it's that was the response, and it was costing me significant pain and real money.
Um,
Yeah, and I was going to ask let's before we see what's going on here in the back end, any visuals, but I wanted to ask you. So, very curious when you onboard a new client, like my situation, for example. I think maybe not the best example, but I needed at least one software in order to get what we needed done, which was Integromat. I think I may have needed. We had Airtable, and then we had Webflow, but we needed Integromat. So hypothetically, I came to you and maybe I need Integromat plus a couple of different software. What is the conversation like when you're onboarding me and you want this ideal scenario done? What do you tell me and how do you kind of talk to me about how that software procurement is going to go? Credit cards, logins, all those things. What do you say?
Yeah, so at the moment, so we've recently in the last 3 months, we used to offer AppBind as an option. We've now made it an obligation, right? And I think what makes it the combined, Sunir, to your point, in terms of the customer problems that it solves, makes it an easier sell now, right? So Alex, to the point that we say we use this subscription manager to manage subscriptions that we'll be using this. The benefit with this is we use a shared address to load on email address and a credential manager to load on AppBind, and you have access to all of the emails, all of the communications, all of the stuff that I would get, you would have access to. We manage the credentials on there. You own it. You have full visibility of every transaction and all the costs that come on there. And they give you a virtual credit card to load onto each of it, which de-risks it for you also in terms of me not having access to your actual credit card details. And it gives us a platform. So most of our projects expand to more solutions, and this gives us a platform to then add other solutions on in the future in an efficient way.
That's the next question, to the follow up to that. So then we're in Integromat, and I think you even chatted me about this while we were engaged, and you're like, Alex, you need to upgrade your plan. You go in here, log in, do this whole routine. You had to explain it to me and chat it to me, and tell me exactly what to do. In this new world, you can get my approval. You can say, Alex, it's going to be $60 per user versus $20 per user. Do I have your approval? And then obviously you have your own credentials that get you in, and you're able to do that. That's scenario or benefit number one. But then I also know that, especially the web developers, I was chatting with Eric in here, there's scenarios where you need to procure brand new software in the middle of the relationship. And if I'm a fan of this scenario, or at least I trust Core, and I've got that sort of relationship, and he's done it a couple times, you can reach out to me and say, Alex, we need this compliance software. We're not compliant right now. We're at risk. I need to go and get this for you. Here's a couple options. I've done, some setup of a few of these. This is the one I recommend. It's this much per month. Here's a link if you want to check it out, but I've got all your information. I can just go ahead and add that to your stack. And do I have your approval? And I can just say yes, and we can go about our day.
No, we use the AppBind email addresses and users basically that we sign up. We refer to them as sysadmin, system admin users, right? So that's the one part. And then currently, I have the ability to sign up for the client, and I would do that because it's all transparent and visible. I definitely would do it through consultation with the client. But Sunir and them are working on a new expense account kind of feature where the client can actually, so in our planning of our project and work, we would actually work out a budget for the client to say, these are the apps that we foresee. This is how their licensing works, and this is what we expect based on what you've said in the scoping. What we expect to be paying monthly. They are still tied to the actual expenses at the end, but we try and give them that kind of foresight and comfort in terms of what the cost, not just the development cost, which is our cost, but the operational cost would be. Which Sunir's still coaching me around how to sell differently. But the new expense feature or the budget feature on AppBind would allow at that conversation actually for the client to agree an expense account that they give us. So kind of it limits the risk for the client on a monthly basis in terms of what is the budget that can be spent on that account, and then gives us kind of adds to the trust and the quality of that relationship, the ability to make sure that, so to Sunir's point, I'm making sure that your drains work, and I'm making sure that the shit goes where it needs to go, and you worry about what you need to worry about, and we've agreed the parameters around that, and I think that's the ideal way to work.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just envisioning so many different types of conversations that could be had and how they are probably being had without the system in place. But what it does for you, Core, I mean, you prove yourself to be a trustworthy asset for the client to solve those issues without the time being spent by the client. I mean, costs are one thing, but if you're asking me to jump through hoops and go through different pricing pages and then run into walls that sign in, and then I'll create 5 different passwords, which I have to then either create new users for you or send you those passwords. I'll run into walls and I'll create headaches for myself, but I'll always blame my agency in some way, shape, or form if I'm the client, just because I'm having headaches. It doesn't matter if it's my fault or whose fault it is. So this alleviates that and creates just a much more seamless relationship. So Sunir, I want to see how this works in practice, if we can. Do you mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Actually, I've seen this once before, but it's been a very long time. So I'm very curious how this works today.
All right. You see my screen?
Yes, looks good.
So yeah, I mean, we've been talking about Appline, maybe hard to visualize. So just to give you an idea of the how it works, it's like, if you just think about what is a subscription, really, it's the email you use to sign up with and the credit card you use to pay for it. And never once ever should you put your own email address and your own credit card in a client's subscription, because they own it and you don't want to be stuck in the middle. So Appline, this is the crazy idea we had, very difficult to do, but we create a shared virtual email address and a shared virtual credit card so that you have something to sign up with and pay for the subscription, and then you can manage it, but it's really owned by the customer, and all the charges all go to the customer automatically. So you're not really stuck in the middle. I mean, you can configure it in crazy ways from there, but that's the main idea, is that you're just there to take care of them and do the work. They own everything ultimately, and you shouldn't be stuck in the middle. You should be focusing on just getting the job done. So, I'll show you how it works. I'll give you the nickel tour, and then I'll show you actually how it really looks for the customer. So imagine I have this customer here, right? So they're a banana stand company, food truck business, and they're a typical small business. They don't know anything about internet marketing. I'm just an internet marketing agency's account. And they say, Sunir, I need more customers off the internet. Help me. And if I start doing what typical agencies are doing now, which is like getting you to sign up for everything, okay, you need a domain and a host, you need WP Engine and SSL certs and A/B split testing and email capture and email marketing. Their minds will explode, right? Because this is beyond them. This is exactly how I got fired by that fashion retailer. Someone said, yeah, no problem. I'll take care of it for you. I'll get your website, social, email ads all set up and running. I'll get it integrated, but I'm going to use a subscription manager. So everything that I build for you, you'll be organized in one place and you'll own everything that I do. And they're only going to hear one thing, I've noticed from clients. You're going to take care of it for me? Yeah, absolutely. Can you do it yesterday? Because that's how all clients are. Find a time machine and go back yesterday. No problem. Whatever you want. So, I mean, that's all they want.
It'll cost you.
So you invite them in. They add their, spinner. There we go. They add their bank account or credit card. So that's their funding sources, but it's captured securely. So you should never, ever put a credit card on a post-it note again. Please don't do that. And then, you can set up their entire system for them. And this is what you're building. Like, what was that Sprinkle and Donuts story, right? It's like, what are you building? Well, you're building the system. HubSpot is only one thing. There's a whole system around, that you're going to build out. That's what they want. It's going to be the ads, it's going to be the marketing automation, it's going to be email capture, email testing, whatever you're doing, right? You can build a whole system out, and this is really powerful. You're a tech company too, truly you are. And so how does it work? So, just like ActiveCampaign, they do have a reseller portal, right? But it doesn't solve the problems for you. It solves the problem for them, and they recommend Appline as a result. So, what do we do? Never put your own email address in. You can ask the customer for an email address, but this is a food truck business, so they're not going to give you one. It's too hard for them. So we create a shared email address that instantly, so you just go ahead. It forwards the emails to you. This is what Core was saying. He can manage the account. This is a super admin email. So he can administrate the account. It also forwards it to the customer, so they own and control the account from the beginning. Everything's transparent, but this account is shared. And more importantly, many of you are probably using the Gmail Plus hack. you can't transfer your Gmail account to the customer. This email address is transferable to the customer, right? So that you can offload the subscription at the end of the day. This is why we had to do this. You can also store the password in AppBind. A lot of them aren't using, I mean, I use LastPass, it's fine by me, but like some customers don't have LastPass or whatever you're using. So you have one place to store the credential that's secure. Second thing, Active Campaign's email marketing, the price changes every single month. More contacts go in, the more expensive it gets. The bookkeeping alone on here will blow your mind. It's just, you'll be overwhelmed. You'll lose money on this account, no matter what margin they're giving you. So we create a virtual credit card. You use that to pay for Active Campaign. Whatever charges hit the card, we immediately expense the customer. I'll show you what that really looks like in a second. But you can set whatever business model you want. So in Active Campaign, for instance, they do sell at a discount to partners, which I strongly recommend. People don't do, but that's what people do. It's fine. So if you have to track the bookkeeping for this, you just put the discount on here, and then you can either add a margin. So if they charge $50, you're supposed to show the customer $100. We take care of all the accounting for you. If you want to put a markup on here, as most people do, performance marketing, you can. Or you might want to provide some of that margin to your customer as a discount from you. So we'll calculate the discount. So you get charged $50, we show the customer $100, and minus $10 from you as your discount. We handle all the math. So you don't have to set and forget, never have to think about it ever again. And then the third problem is what happens, like of course, when clients leave. Clients come and go, but referrals are forever. They're always freaking out, customers all the time, but never so much as at the end. You're afraid they have the data. It's like, no, I'm sorry to see you go, Mr. Food Truck. But like I said, everything belongs to you. Here you go, click and gone. They're just gonna go, see you later, goodbye. And that's it. You're off-boarded, whatever is being charged to you. If you want to expense it to yourself for whatever reason, it's off your credit card. If it's going to the customer, it's just transferred. You don't have to go into any of the billing systems and update the billing stuff. You don't have to spend any minute of your day on a customer's leaving, and the customer's going to go, wow, that was really professional. Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to still like you and send you referrals, and you're going to move on to other customers, right? So, I mean, that's the basics of AppBind. And of course, we have all the charges here, transparency, every single charge is transparently tracked and showed to both you and the customer. So there's very good clarity, what's happening. And this is the new stuff that Core is alluding to. And this is really powerful. Like this subscription order just packages this all up into one story for your customers. So, if I have a customer here, let's say Zizzy, you can say, the list of subscriptions that you're buying from, you just enumerate the entire project for them. You're just like, okay, I need, Acronis and Amplitude and MindBody, whatever. I just lay them all out all into one invoice, very much like a mechanic would lay out all the parts to fix your car, or a plumber would lay out all the parts to fix your flooded basement or whatever, time and materials billing. You can also, by the way, new thing we're adding is you can also ask for blanket authorization in the future for any future subscriptions that you may need, so you don't have to keep asking the customer over and over again. And then you can set up a budget, and this is the expense fund, the expense account, so the customer can pre-fund you, so you're never actually using your own money ever. The customer is giving you the money up front before you buy the subscriptions, and this operates like a like a Starbucks card or a Subway tap card. It's just like a top up. So you could ask for $500. Once it goes below $200, it will automatically top itself back up to $500. You have money in the bank account. And then you can also set a spend limit, monthly spend limit, just like Facebook ads, so you can control the budget and you can give the customer peace of mind that you're not going to blow their budget. But this way you always have money sitting around in AppBind, and we issue the virtual cards out of it. This money is refundable to the customer as well. It's their account. So if the project ends, we'll send the money back to the customer. So it's just a matter of trust and control for both you and them. And then finally, we send it for approval, send a nice little email. You can edit this if you want, of course, send for approval. I'll just send it. Anyway, I already have it loaded up. So this is the email, and this is what the customer sees, a nice, really professional looking purchase order effectively for subscriptions. The customer sees, here's all the subscriptions that they wanted. Yeah, they want to have blanket approval. Here's the budget. They confirm. Right, and then they can link their, oh, of course, 1 second. I have to click the button. This is how demos work. I was not authenticated. We were secure. Okay, here we go. Then we go through, and then they can link their credit card here. So this is like a checkout. Just have to put in their credit card or bank account. Away they go, and blah, 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 blah. Sure. Lot of demos. Oh, I know why. United States. And
You don't trust Canadian credit cards.
well, this is the Stripe. It has to be US card. The Stripe tax card. They don't like Canadians. All right, here we go. And then boom, authorize and done. And that's it. That's all the customer has to do. And then you can go ahead and sign up for all the subscriptions. We issue the virtual cards and emails, and away you go. So it's easy for your customers to go, okay, I understand, Core wants me to get, a Cronus and an active campaign and whatever. That's what he said. Sure, fine, I pay for it, and then you're done. They're done, and then you can go ahead and take care of it for them. There you go. So that's really how AppBind works. I don't know if you have questions about that. I mean,
Yeah.
was it Eric who was wondering?
Yeah, I was just chatting with Eric a little bit. I'm curious because he's got such a prominent use case for web development, and some of the platforms cover some of this, like Webflow. You have your agency account and you're able to create sub accounts and do that. But there's still some issues in that, right? So yeah, what do you tell Sanir? What do you tell people that are thinking about running sub accounts and doing what the apps typically allow you to do? You mentioned how Active Campaign allows you to buy in bulk. DataBox does this. Webflow allows you to create sub accounts, and there's
okay, first sub accounts you have to be really careful about. Everyone did those things because it was expedient and what everyone else was doing, but are they legal? That's the real question. You're gonna have to wonder. And so anytime that you are representing as a software company, you are 100% the software company to the customer. You have to be SOC 2 compliant and all those things. So you are 100% data liable if you're representing as a vendor. And if you're a landlord and subletting your account to your customers, you are the software company to them. You have to keep track of all that data. You have 7 years of reporting and recording. You have to handle onward transfer. You got to deal with breaches, all that stuff. And is that something that you should be doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, is that your business? And it's better to think of yourself as a gardener. It's an ongoing service, or a plumber. All these, like, think of all the other contractors in your life that are not digital. Like, that's how people think. It's been 5,000 years people have been working this way. So if a gardener, yeah, it's an ongoing service. They come every month, but they buy the seeds and the fertilizer and the plants and whatever, but they leave behind your lawn. You own that as a customer. The gardener's coming and going, operating it. That's really what you want to be doing. I mean, you may not own the subscriptions and the technology, but effectively, the customer's not going to want to maintain that lawn themselves. Who wants to do their own weeding, right? That's what your job is to do. If you have some of these accounts, like, I know it's very popular, but if it's your account and then you have like micro accounts under there that you're just giving to the customer, you are the software company. You have to be SOC 2 compliant, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that's silly.
Awesome. Eric has a question there about, outside of the 1% fee, are clients incurring any additional fees, right, for using credit card versus ACH, et cetera?
Yes. So ACH is free. Doesn't cost any more. If you use credit card, it's the Stripe credit card fees are passed on to your customers. So we encourage them to use ACH. We obviously make money on the interchange fees for the credit cards. We need to charge 1% because we are holding the money for the customers, and there's obviously stuff that goes on with managing money for people. That's just the cost of holding the money. So that's our business model. We no surprise, we'll make the money on the credit cards in the end of the day. But ACH is free. Please use that if you can. Like, it's 1% plus nothing, and then the credit cards is 1% plus the Stripe fees, which is 2.9% plus 30 cents inside the US.
Awesome. And then he asked really blatantly, are you recommending not to become a reseller of software under the partner program, for example, Active Campaign, and whoever else is suggesting?
No, I think you should do whatever gets the job done for your customer, but you should encourage the software vendors to reconsider their model. So I didn't show you how AppBind actually helps you deal with your software vendors as partners as well. But one of the issues, so we support the discounted model. I mean, that's just, you just have to do what it takes to get the job done. And if it helps you get margin, just do it. But over time, you should politely encourage your software vendors to allow you to provide this kind of purchasing agent or happy gardener perspective. And that's what AppBind allows. We also handle the commissions from software vendors because we have perfect tracking with the credit card of every dollar that goes across the card. We can rebate you like as a cashback from the software vendor if they agree to use AppBind to do that. So that actually is also nice. Very often too, software vendors are not set up for reselling, they're set up for referrals. Referrals suck for numerous reasons. Again, 7 different reasons why they are terrible. One, referral links. You should never put a referral link in front of a client because it's so deeply unprofessional. With AppBind, you can actually, we store your referral links in AppBind. So your staff, when they sign up, you're using the referral links. At least then this partner programs can track that that's your client, but you're doing all the dealing with the sales staff. Deal registration, similarly, you really just want to be the customer to that sales staff. You don't really want them to talk to the customer directly. Now with AppBind, you're the one handling the purchase, and so you can avoid some of these issues around channel conflicts, especially if you use the AppBind commission model, or your sales staff talking to your customers around your back, which happened to me, Amplitude. I did not appreciate that. It did not go over well for me. And actually between me and the client, I actually had to have a really long conversation with the CEO of that company about whether I knew what I was talking about. And it's like, I certainly do. I did not appreciate, being end run. But this is stuff that you need to take care of if you're in the middle, is just manage the software vendors. And AppBind gives you the standing to do that because you're just making the purchase. You are the customer effectively. You're standing in for them.
Just Sunir, that the referral conversation is another one that I didn't even think about. Like, I agree. So I've tried my best not to put referral links, but if that's where the partner benefit in most apps come from, it was an additional conversation to the please load your card, but don't just use any link, use my link. I would like you to use my link because I get this kind of stuff. And now I'd completely avoid that conversation. I can just calmly sign up myself on my own referral link, and the client doesn't even need to know because they don't need to know.
Yeah, I mean, none of their
big
business.
advantage.
Yeah, like we store the referral link. So if you happen to have one, you just use that here, and then you click sign up, and you're done. Right? It's for you and your staff only. Very simple.
And so it's interesting. My referral registration has gone up since I've started signing up, because I actually now can make sure that I use my referral links. And in the apps that I do have referral relationships, my percentage of signups that has gone to my referral has actually increased as well.
It's really important that you do the referrals, I will also say, because the software vendors, they look at the partner programs, including the referral programs, because that's all they have. When they have clients they're looking for agencies to refer to, they're going to look at that data to find people to refer people out to. If it's only referral links, that's all affiliate, really. It's an affiliate program. It's all they have. That's what they're going to use. So you should use it. I mean, the money's nice, but the referrals are better. I mean, the reverse referrals are better. And and also with AppBind, I'll tell you, which we have all the data and we can show it to the vendors, and we're going to make it more easy for you to do this because we track all your purchases by subscription vendor. We anonymously aggregate and de-individuate, so we never really make it clear that it's you. But we can show the software vendors that there are partners on the system, right, that they should connect with. And then if they on the system and you agree, then you can start showing them your customer history with them, so they can okay, this person is actually a serious partner of mine, but they didn't sign up for the partner program, because why would you? It's a waste of your time. But now we're just using your AppBind transactions as evidence. Cool. So we can do that as well. And that's really important too, because who wants to spend an hour doing deal registration? It's just a nightmare. You just want to show them that you're doing it, right?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. You've got all the tracking and the records of what you did for each client right there in AppBind. Oh, yeah.
It's we do it very carefully too, because data is private. We're very, very careful about that. Everything about AppBind is trustworthy, but it's important to show the vendors just how big their shadow channel is, what we call it. People who just have clients using their software but don't want to get on the phone with the partner exec because it's a waste of time. Now you can suddenly start building up your reputation with the vendors, right, through us. So that's important.
And the other thing that I've been I think it's much more emotional again than it is actual physical money, but there are many vendors where I've tried to cancel subscriptions where it is an absolute pain. and having a virtual card registered on there and just canceling the virtual card. Have them chase me for money as opposed to me trying to chase a refund on a subscription that I've canceled 6 months ago and you kept on charging me. In fact, you've increased my subscription. Is a much emotionally much more stable way of canceling subscriptions.
I've had very, very nice emails come in from agencies who have used our cancel card feature. And we email them back. Are you sure this is what you want? It's like, absolutely. I love this about AppLine. Goodbye, vendor. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I ran into that with FreshBooks. Yeah, if you certain partner programs, if your partner refers you and you click through their link, you are tied indefinitely to their partnership account. You can't even do anything to your account without that partner stepping in and doing it for you. That includes canceling. That includes getting your data out of that account. So if you wanted to convert, and I don't know if it's still like this, but Copper CRM had this situation where if you joined from a partner and you built out your whole Copper CRM, and then maybe a year later you wanted to, own that account or take it back from being underneath that partnership tier, you couldn't just transfer it to yourself. Essentially, it was locked in. So you had to essentially export all of your lead data, export all your different pipeline data, and re-sign up for Copper, and then import all that data again in order to get out of that bind between the two. So that was terrible. So this is a great solution to cover plethora of pain points that we're all having as agencies, plus some other things that are just efficient.
I have one story there actually that is relevant. So I was at FreshBooks, right? And so I ran the partner program there. And I was Uncle Crowbar, sometimes people will call me, or King Solomon, I would like to say in a more positive way. But whenever there was a legal dispute, it would come to me. And so many times between clients and agencies, there was a legal dispute that because we're the billing system, or in some cases, the partner system, it would come up to me to resolve. And this kind of the problem where a lot of software companies have made you liable for the customer stuff is a nightmare for you to disentangle, because like we can't do anything legally because we don't know who has authorization on this account, right? It's really between you and them. And asking some random company, like tech company, to become now the arbiters of succession of your business, like get involved in your meat and potatoes, doesn't make any sense. You don't want them in your life, right? You should be managing your own clients, and you need something that gives you the appropriate level of distance, right? And everything about AppLine, it would come from my lessons from seeing this. Like everything here protects you and your customer and the software vendor, like it sets the relationships in the right way. And so this is why the sub account thing drives me bananas. Also discounting drives me bananas. Everything should be rebated, commissions on the back end. This keeps the relationships in the right place. Like the discount means your partner commission margin is on the customer's bill, and they have a legal right to have the entire billing history because they have the GDPR or whatever rules, and they can eventually see your partner commission because that's the law, and these companies have set that up wrong. And then with the sub accounts, this happened. It was a phone company during, in the United States, it's worse than Canada, but during the elections, you have a lot of robocalls, some of which are push polling, if you know this. It's illegal anyway. So the FEC, there was a case where the FBI sent a warrant to a telephone company, like one of these online virtual telephone companies, and they had mixed all the accounts together. So then you have something called horizontal liability, because the FBI could see now not just the client they're after, but now every other client of that agency. It's just such a crazy number of notifications and legal nightmares. Like this is, I don't want to terrify you from being a digital agency, but if you just do it the right way, you belong to the customer, not the software vendor. You're just the gardener. Just manage their stuff, be them, not the vendor. Don't let the vendor make you into a software company, right? Be a really good consultant to the customer, right?
Two-factor authentication before authorization. Before we get off, Chris has a question. How does it handle 2FA?
Very good question. So SMS 2FA, we have thought about building a virtual mobile number. It is not stable because a lot of companies will block virtual phone numbers for this reason. There is, if you're using Authenticator, like Google Authenticator, well, we don't do it. There's a cool tool, I think it's called Authy, that I saw on Reddit, someone had built. Or is it Core? Maybe you shared it with me, but it does, I think I shared it with you. So it's on Reddit. It was, it's like, it requires Slack for whatever reason, but allows multiple people to share authenticator messages. I think we like that feature enough that we might build it into Appline eventually, but it exists. Authy is there, and you can share authenticator messages.
So Authy, I've not done it many times, but Authy the app on iOS allows you to take the hash that's behind the two-factor and actually add it to multiple devices. So it's actually, because I mean, it's really a hash that drives the algorithm. So if you have that hash on multiple devices, it'll actually display the same code, and you can have that two-factor, the app-based two-factor on multiple devices.
So I mean, we may build an Appline right now, but that's something that you could do in the meantime.
I love it. Any other questions, please ask now. Otherwise, I'll paste, if you don't mind, Sunir, your email. And Core, I mean, you're obviously open for any of the services you offer. So if anyone needs Webflow connected to things that aren't exactly native, that could be you, Eric. If anyone needs Integromat services, Core is unreal at Integromat. I've never seen anything like it. And he may not even have time for you, but give him a shot. And then Sunir,
Sorry, Alex.
if you guys have any questions about how that's set up, and I'm sure Sunir will happily do a demo for you and get you guys onboarded there. Very cool. Awesome, guys. Thanks for the time. Thanks everyone who showed up, and anyone who's listening or watching later on. I'm sure all those will still work. So please try them out and get involved and try this out with your clients. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for being in, man.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks all. Thanks, Sunir. Alex, cheers.